too long ago, I walked into the kitchen and I realized that my dog's water bowl was dry as a bone. Not a single drop of water. And unlike my mother, who follows her pets around with their water bowl and sits it down wherever they choose to sit down, true story, our pug has one very stationary water bowl. I don't know how many days she had gone without water. I couldn't remember when the last time it was that I had filled it. Dog, mom, fail. I did. I felt like a failure. I still feel guilty. I couldn't handle just this simple task. I had let everything else get in the way of a basic necessity. And poor little, not so little, Maggie had gone without a bowl of water. It was definitely a reality check. My box had become too full, and I had neglected a basic responsibility. Have you ever had a moment where you've had just so many things vying for your attention that you simply cannot take care of the necessities? Like your box is just too full. I think we all have. You're not alone. It happens to all of us. Even prior to the pandemic, our lives were already very, very full, and I know mine was. I would joke with my husband that we must plan in 6-hour increments because if I looked forward any farther, I would get overwhelmed. And then, in early 2020, the way we worked and carried out our lives changed seemingly overnight. And these changes created feelings of fear and anxiety and unrest. We have experienced life in these past few years in a way that until 2020, it really had only been portrayed in the movies. 2020 began a domino effect of change on a global scale at a rapid pace that our minds and our bodies did not have a chance to catch up to. Our bodies were not meant to live with this long-term stress. In our professional lives, our once fully stacked Jenga tower started to lose its blocks as one by one resources and people and processes were taken away from us or changed. Our tower became, and likely still is, very unstable. And as essential workers, we weren't given the opportunity to pause. In fact, our jobs became more difficult to manage with the various precautions and the extra steps put in place, and to add to that, a reduced workforce. These blocks were just all stacked on top of our very unstable tower. Now, in our personal lives, we managed a separate game. More like Twister. With your right foot on red and your left foot on yellow, your left hand on green and your right hand on blue. Too many spins to this game, and we felt like we could just fall from exhaustion. We took our already jam-packed lives and we layered it with this heaviness that was just unimaginable, like a layer of bricks being added to our already heavy load. And for many of us, for me, we lost sight of who was carrying that weight. And when our lives feel like they are busting at the seams, instead of figuring out how we can lighten our load or how we can strengthen ourselves to carry that heavier load, we reach for a roll of duct tape. And we simply try to reinforce those seams. About 1.5 years ago, life really began to weigh me down. I felt this pressure on my chest, this weight on my back that at times made it physically hard to move. I had a very difficult time getting out of bed. Quite frankly, all I wanted to do was sleep. And I realized that my box was busting at the seams and that this duct tape could not hold it together any longer. It was simply out of necessity that I was forced to pause and take a hard look at everything that I was carrying. And more importantly, it forced me to look in the mirror at who was carrying that heavy load. I knew it was time for me to care for my mind, my body, and my spirit. And I'll come back to this reality check in a few moments. But we live in this society where we are defined by how much we can cram into a single day, how productive we can be, how many activities our children can be involved in, whether we make homemade cookies or bring store-bought cookies to the school party. And oh, by the way, keep the house clean, the laundry done, the bills paid, pack tomorrow's lunches, research what foods you and your family can't eat according to each person's dietary needs, cook 5 different meals for dinner to accommodate each person's dietary needs, clean up the kitchen, and for goodness sakes, feed the dog, preferably a raw diet. And in your free time, go to the gym 4 to 5 times a week, ensure to volunteer for at least 3 organizations weekly, teach Sunday school, and attend the band competition that lasts all weekend long out of town. And of course, this is all in addition to working full-time and participating in professional organizations. Right? Do you feel it? Just running through that list, which is not all-inclusive, by the way, is exhausting. Let's face it, it is hard for us to keep up with the many demands that we face each and every day. We just keep cramming more and more and more into our box until there is no more room, and then we wonder why we feel stressed. We wonder why we become numb when something like a pandemic rocks our world. There are healthy ways for us to begin decluttering our lives and for coping with the stress that we may feel, and that is through self-care. So indulge me for a moment. If you have anything in your hands, just go ahead and set it aside for just a moment. If you are online and not driving, you can participate in this activity as well. But go ahead and place your feet firmly on the ground. And then take the palms of your hands and put them onto your thighs. And if you feel comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes. And inhale with me through your nose, and exhale through your mouth. Inhale through your nose, and exhale through your mouth. And when you feel comfortable, go ahead and open your eyes. Congratulations, you have just practiced self-care. It truly can be that simple, and it doesn't have to take a great deal of time. Self-care does not have to be regular spa days, multiple vacations a year, or anything pumpkin spice related. We should not overcomplicate self-care. We should not make it expensive. We should not make it super time intensive. It isn't going to be sustainable or restore us over the long haul if we overcomplicate it. Self-care is intentionally caring for your well-being through action over time. Studies show that the most common reason people give for not taking care of themselves is a lack of time. And I would challenge this. Is it really a lack of time, or how we choose to spend our time?